The ocean floor holds a secret history we are only now beginning to read. Advanced sonar technology acts as our guide, mapping a hidden world and uncovering 15 startling underwater anomalies. By the end of this exploration, you will see the medieval past in a completely new light through its sunken cities and silent shipwrecks. We will examine a mysterious circular object that defies explanation and an entire fleet lost to time. What profound truths about human ambition and adaptation do these watery ruins conceal? To truly grasp the scale of these underwater mysteries, we must first understand the silent revolution happening in the depths. For centuries, the ocean floor was a realm of pure speculation, a dark canvas for legends of sunken continents and phantom ships. Our ability to explore it was limited to what a diver could see or what a dragging net might snag. That all changed with the advent of sophisticated sonar. Think of it not as a simple echo, but as a form of digital echolocation, so advanced it can sketch the texture of a lost brick or the gentle curve of a buried hull. Modern multibeam and side-scan sonar systems work by sending out fan-shaped pulses of sound. These pulses travel down through the water column, strike the seabed, and return to the ship. A powerful computer then translates millions of these returning echoes into a breathtakingly detailed, three-dimensional map. It is a topographic portrait of a world without light. This technology allows a research vessel to systematically sweep vast swaths of ocean, from the cold, preserved waters of the Baltic to the sun-drenched Mediterranean coast, compiling data with a precision that would have been pure fantasy just 50 years ago. This shift is fundamental. It means the discoveries we are about to explore are not accidental finds by a lucky fisherman. They are the direct result of methodical, scientific exploration. Researchers are no longer just looking for a single shipwreck. They are digitally excavating entire submerged landscapes, turning coordinates that once belonged only to myth into points on a navigational chart. The ocean is finally giving up its secrets, not in whispers but in high-resolution data. It is a shape that simply does not belong. Rising from the murky, cold depths of the Baltic Sea floor, our first anomaly appears on sonar screens as a perfect, haunting circle. Roughly 200 feet across, this distinct disk is punctuated by angular lines and a long, trailing scar, creating an image that looks less like geology and more like something constructed. The public quickly gave it a name, the Baltic Sea Anomaly, and with that name came a torrent of speculation. Could this be the remains of a sunken spacecraft, a lost piece of advanced ancient technology, or perhaps a secret military installation from a more recent era? The initial sonar images were so startlingly geometric that they seemed to reject any ordinary explanation, capturing the global imagination and becoming a modern maritime mystery. This is where our journey into the unknown truly begins, with a single, silent shape that challenges everything we assume about the seabed. The official scientific explanation offers a much cooler, though no less fascinating, perspective. Geologists who have studied the formation point to a far more ancient and powerful force, glacial activity. They propose that during the last ice age, a massive glacier moving across the bedrock could have deposited this unique assemblage of rocks. The seemingly straight lines and 90-degree angles might be the result of natural fracturing, a phenomenon where basalt or other dense rock cracks along precise planes as it cools and settles. The long trail could simply be a mark left by the ice itself, dragging material across the seafloor. In this view, the anomaly is a spectacular natural sculpture, a testament to the raw, shaping power of ice over millennia. Yet, even within this rational framework, a sliver of historical intrigue remains. The Baltic Sea has been a vital corridor for human movement for thousands of years, a highway for Viking longships, medieval traders, and countless coastal communities. While it is almost certainly not a crashed UFO, could its distinctive landmark shape have held significance for those early mariners? Its prominent position on an otherwise flat plain makes it a perfect natural seamark. One could imagine a medieval navigator lacking modern charts using such a unique underwater feature, known through depth-sounding lines or local lore, as a waypoint on a perilous journey. Alternatively, some researchers gently suggest it might be the site of a ceremonial practice, a place where stones were deliberately arranged in a circular pattern for spiritual purposes during a period when sea levels were lower, only to be swallowed by the rising waters. This is the true power of the Baltic Sea Anomaly. It perfectly illustrates the delicate line our sonar is now walking. It forces us to ask a fundamental question: are we looking at a wondrous trick of nature, or are we glimpsing the faint, eroded signature of human activity? The answer may ultimately be less important than the question itself, for it represents a shift in how we see the ocean floor. We are no longer dismissing odd shapes as mere rocks. We are pausing, zooming in, and wondering about their story. This single, circular mystery sets the stage for everything that follows, proving that the depths are ready to surprise us, one echo at a time. While a single mystery circle sparks our imagination, sonar can reveal something far more concrete, and in doing so, rewrite our understanding of history. Off the coast of Slovenia, in the calm, cold embrace of the Adriatic Sea, researchers made a discovery that shifted from the speculative to the spectacular. Their sonar did not find one lonely wreck, it mapped an entire congregation. This is not an anomaly of shape but of scale, a medieval shipwreck graveyard resting silently on the seabed. The images showed dozens of wooden vessels, their outlines crisp and distinct, lying as if placed there with care. The cold, dark, low-oxygen water has acted as a perfect preservative, leaving their hulls and structures eerily intact for centuries. Each one is a sealed time capsule waiting to be read. This dense cluster of ships opens a window directly into the bustling, perilous world of medieval Mediterranean commerce. Imagine the cargo these vessels might carry: amphorae filled with olive oil and wine from southern vineyards, precious spices from distant ports, or raw materials like timber and stone bound for growing cities. More than trade goods, these wrecks hold the intimate traces of daily life, personal belongings of the crew, cooking utensils, gaming pieces, and tools that tell stories not of kings, but of common people crossing the open sea. For archaeologists, this is an unparalleled library. By comparing the construction techniques, the wood sourcing, and the design of these ships found together, they can piece together a detailed picture of medieval naval technology and how it evolved across regions and decades. The concentration itself is the central puzzle. Why are so many ships here? It strongly suggests this was a major, previously uncharted maritime highway, a busy shortcut or coastal route favored by medieval merchants. Alternatively, it points to a single, catastrophic event, a sudden storm or a tragic accident of navigation that claimed an entire fleet at once, freezing a moment of collective journey in time. This graveyard does not speak of a slow decline, but of stories interrupted, offering a profound and poignant connection to the ambitions and vulnerabilities of a distant age. The value is incalculable, for it allows us to study an entire cross-section of maritime society in one profound location, turning sonar data into a direct link to the past. From the open sea, we now turn our sonar gaze inward to the quiet, freshwater depths of a European lake. Here, the technology reveals a different kind of structure, one that speaks not of commerce, but of community and defense. The image is strikingly clear, a perfect circular formation of stones resting on the lake bed. This is no random pile. It is a deliberate, human-built ring, and it matches the ancient description of a Crannog. These remarkable constructions were artificial island homesteads, built from timber and stone in lakes and wetlands, serving as fortified family homes from the Neolithic era right through the medieval period. They were especially common in the landscapes of Ireland and Scotland, symbols of status and security for a local chieftain or clan. Their presence on a sonar scan, however, poses an immediate and fascinating question. This one is not an island, it is completely submerged. What story does its drowning tell? The explanation could be environmental, a slow, centuries-long rise in the lake's water level that gradually claimed the land around it. Or, more intriguingly, it might point to a deliberate act, a strategic sinking or abandonment that sealed the site for posterity. Either way, the water has acted as a remarkable preservative, creating a time capsule far more intact than any settlement on dry land could ever be. The sonar map does not show a simple circle, it hints at a miniature world. Within that defined perimeter, the data suggests the ghostly outlines of internal structures. We can almost trace where wooden posts once held up a roundhouse, where pathways connected different parts of the dwelling, and where storage pits or hearths might have been. This is a snapshot of daily life, frozen in silt. Imagine the activities this silent ring once contained: the smell of a peat fire, the sound of tools shaping wood or metal, the conversations of a family living literally on the water for safety. For archaeologists, a submerged Crannog is a treasure trove. The cold, low-oxygen freshwater environment preserves organic materials that would normally rot away in the soil. Items like wooden bowls, leather shoes, textiles, and even food remains. Finding such a site through sonar allows for a meticulously planned excavation, where every recovered object can tell a story about diet, craftsmanship, trade, and social structure. It offers a uniquely intimate look at early medieval architecture and clan life, not from the grand perspective of a stone castle, but from the grounded, practical viewpoint of a homestead. This anomaly connects us to the ingenuity of ordinary people adapting to their environment, building not just shelters but entire defensive ecosystems. Their choice to live on the water, now mirrored by our technology peering into it, creates a poignant bridge across time. We are not just looking at stones on a screen, we are glimpsing the blueprint of a home, a place of safety that the lake has kept secret for 1,000 years. Those sunken homesteads speak of families and local life, but sonar can unveil an entire lost world on a civic scale. Off a Mediterranean coastline, the seafloor tells a different story, one written in stone and sediment. The sonar returns here do not show scattered wrecks or lone structures, but a vast, ghostly blueprint. The scan reveals a sprawling grid of straight lines and right angles, the unmistakable footprint of a planned settlement. This is the foundation of a lost port city, a bustling hub from the late medieval era now resting in silent darkness. The imagery is stunning in its clarity, outlining the skeletons of streets, the distinct rectangles of building foundations, and the faint but definite line of what was once a protective seawall. This was not a village that slowly faded. It was a functioning urban center that met a sudden, decisive end. The cause remains part of its mystery, perhaps a gradual but relentless rise in sea levels over centuries, or a single, catastrophic seismic event that caused the land to subside. Either scenario paints a poignant picture of a thriving community literally swallowed by the element that gave it life. This discovery is a direct conversation with history. For generations, scholars might have read mentions of this city in old trade ledgers, diplomatic correspondence, or travelers' chronicles. Those documents spoke of its wealth, its strategic importance, and its role as a crucible for cultural exchange. Until now, those accounts were just words on parchment. The sonar map transforms them into tangible truth. It verifies the historical record in the most dramatic way possible, providing a street-level view of a place that existed only in memory. We can now study its urban planning, seeing how its builders maximized space within the constraints of the coastline, how they organized markets near the docks, and how they designed defenses against both the sea and potential threats. This sunken grid is more than a collection of ruins. It is a preserved moment in time. It offers a unique understanding of daily life in a coastal medieval settlement. By analyzing the size and layout of the buildings, historians can infer social structures where craftspeople worked, where merchants stored their goods, and how the community was organized. The presence of the seawall speaks to a constant, understood relationship with the powerful sea, a balance between utilizing its bounty and fearing its fury. Finding this city does not simply add a pin to a historical map. It fills a profound gap in our knowledge. It provides the physical blueprint for a chapter of human adaptation and ambition, a community that thrived at the edge of the known world before vanishing beneath the waves. Its silent streets now await further exploration, holding secrets about trade routes, architectural techniques, and the interconnected world of the medieval Mediterranean that we are only beginning to comprehend. The silent blueprints of lost cities speak of community, but sometimes the seafloor offers a message that feels more like a solitary, deliberate sentence. Far out in the windswept expanse of the North Sea, Sonar has traced a line that defies the chaos of nature. Across a vast, featureless plain of sand and silt, the technology revealed a procession of large stones, each one placed with apparent purpose, forming a straight alignment that stretches for hundreds of meters. This is not a random scatter of boulders dropped by a retreating glacier. The stones are too evenly spaced, the line too unnervingly direct. It cuts across the seabed with a precision that feels utterly, undeniably intentional. The image it creates is hauntingly familiar, echoing the megalithic structures we know from the land above, the standing stone circles and ancient processional pathways built by early cultures across Europe. Seeing such a form here in this submerged and lonely place immediately ignites a fundamental question. What human hands and what human purpose could possibly account for this? One compelling theory points towards ceremony and belief. During the early medieval period and long before, sea levels in this region were significantly lower. What is now the stormy North Sea was once a vast inhabited coastal plain, a landscape of marshes, rivers, and rolling hills known to archaeologists as Doggerland. As the waters slowly rose over millennia, they swallowed not just land, but the sacred geography of the people who lived there. This long, straight line of stones could very well be a drowned ceremonial path, a processional way leading toward a site of spiritual importance now lost forever. It might have marked a route for seasonal rituals, a boundary between worlds, or a monument to ancestors, aligning with celestial events now obscured by the waves. Alternatively, the purpose may have been brilliantly practical. The alignment bears a striking resemblance to ancient fish weirs, ingenious stone or wooden traps built by coastal communities to channel and catch fish during tidal changes. Constructing such a massive weir on this scale would represent a monumental communal effort, a testament to deep understanding of the local ecology and a sophisticated approach to harvesting the sea's bounty. The very existence of this structure, whether spiritual or practical, forces a dramatic shift in our perspective. It proves that this now barren underwater plain was once a vibrant, lived-in landscape. It was a place where people not only survived but invested tremendous labor to shape their environment, to mark it with meaning and to secure their livelihood. The stones stand as silent witnesses to a lost world, a testament to human adaptation in a landscape that was slowly disappearing. Their precise arrangement challenges us to see the seabed not as a foreign territory, but as a lost chapter of our own story, a home that was gradually reclaimed by the sea, leaving behind only this cryptic straight line as a final signature. Legends are not always born from fantasy. Sometimes they are memories of a real place, slowly sinking beneath the waves. For generations along a rugged stretch of European coastline, local folklore told of a great monastery that had been claimed by the sea, its bells still said to toll from the depths during fierce storms. It was a story passed down, a poetic explanation for the relentless power of coastal erosion. Now, sonar may have given that legend a physical form. The scans reveal a distinct cluster of rectangular foundations, meticulously arranged around a central, larger structure. This layout is not random. It perfectly echoes the classic blueprint of a medieval monastic complex, a church flanked by a cloister walkway, with surrounding buildings for the monks' living quarters, workshops, and storage. Its location, situated near known historical centers of religious activity, adds powerful weight to the possibility that folklore has been whispering a truth for centuries. The potential discovery of a sunken monastery is far more than a simple archaeological checkmark. It is a direct portal into the heart of medieval spiritual and community life. Monasteries were not just places of prayer, they were hubs of immense economic power, centers of learning, and self-sufficient communities that shaped the surrounding landscape. Finding one preserved underwater offers a snapshot frozen in a moment of crisis. Researchers could study the construction techniques of the church itself, understanding the resources and skill devoted to a house of worship. The surrounding foundations would speak to daily reality: the scriptorium where manuscripts were copied, the refectory where meals were shared, the infirmary where care was provided, and the guest house that offered shelter to travelers. Each room's size and placement tells a story of hierarchy, routine, and the communal rhythm of monastic life. This anomaly also presents a profound narrative of impermanence and adaptation. The very forces that likely claimed this complex, the gradual yet relentless nibbling of the coastline by storm and tide, would have been a constant threat the monks themselves lived with. Their choice to build in such a vulnerable location speaks to a specific spiritual relationship with the sea, perhaps viewing its power as a manifestation of the divine, or seeking isolation at the very edge of the known world. Its loss, whether sudden or gradual, would have been a catastrophic event for the local community, severing a vital spiritual and economic anchor. That the memory persisted in oral tradition for so long underscores the deep scar it left on the cultural landscape. Today, the sonar image transforms that scar into a site of incredible potential. By studying the sediment layers around the foundations, scientists could pinpoint the timeline of its submersion, correlating it with historical records of great storms or periods of rapid coastal change. This would not only confirm a local legend but contribute vital data to our understanding of how our coastlines have transformed over the last millennium. The monastery's silent stones, now mapped by sound, wait to tell a dual story, one of faith and community life within its walls, and another of the powerful, changing earth that ultimately surrounded them. Rivers were more than just water and trade routes. They were living boundaries, sacred thresholds. In the silt of a historic European river, once marking the edge of territories or kingdoms, sonar has painted a startling picture. The scan reveals not a structure, but a dense, concentrated scatter of objects with a sharp, distinct signature of metal. This is no random debris field from a sunken barge. The pattern and the density suggest a single, deliberate event, a deposit of martial objects thrown into the depths. The shapes hinted at in the sonar data are hauntingly familiar: the long, straight lines of swords, the distinctive wedge of axe heads, and the crumpled forms that could be pieces of armor. This anomaly points directly to a well-documented but deeply mysterious practice from the past: the ritual deposition of weapons in water. Across ancient and medieval Europe, From the bogs of Scandinavia to the rivers of the British Isles, communities placed objects of immense value and power into lakes, springs, and rivers. These were not casual losses, they were intentional acts. For a society where a finely crafted sword represented a fortune in resources and skill, its disposal was a profound gesture. The river here, acting as a boundary, makes the location especially significant. Water was often viewed as a liminal space, a doorway between the earthly world and the other world, a place of spirits and ancestors. Depositing weapons at such a point could have served multiple purposes tied to the beliefs of the time. It might have been an offering of thanks to a deity or a river spirit for victory in a conflict, a way to return the tools of war to the elemental forces. Alternatively, it could have been an act of decommissioning, ritually breaking the power of weapons taken from a defeated enemy by consigning them to a sacred, unreachable place, ensuring they could never be used again. This practice transforms the riverbed from simple geology into an archaeological archive of belief and conflict. If this cache can be dated to the medieval period, its value is immense. Each recovered object would be a direct lesson in the martial technology of the era, the quality of the steel, the design of the hilts, and the artistry of the smiths. More than that, the very act of deposition offers a rare glimpse into the mindset of the people. It speaks of a world where the physical and spiritual were intertwined, where the end of a conflict required not just a treaty, but a ceremonial act to restore balance. The weapons, resting where they fell centuries ago, are silent witnesses to moments of transition, perhaps marking the end of a local feud, the ascension of a new leader, or a communal plea for protection. They remind us that for our ancestors, the landscape was alive with meaning, and the rivers that divided lands also connected worlds. The deliberate offering of weapons speaks to a spiritual relationship with water, but our ancestors also engaged with the sea in brilliantly practical ways. Across a wide tidal estuary, Sonar has mapped something that looks less like a structure and more like a sprawling, geometric puzzle laid across the seabed. The images reveal an incredibly complex network of low stone walls, arranged in a repeating series of V-shapes that stretch for hundreds of meters. This is not a ceremonial site or a lost settlement. It is an ancient and ingenious technology, a massive fish trap system designed to work in harmony with the rhythm of the tides. Each V-shaped wall acts as a funnel, its point facing the outgoing tide. As the water recedes, fish swimming along the coast are gently guided by these stone channels, not toward escape, but into a series of enclosed holding pools. When the tide reached its lowest point, the fish would be stranded in these shallow basins, creating an abundant and predictable harvest with minimal effort. While the basic concept of tidal fish traps has been used by coastal peoples across the globe for thousands of years, the sheer scale and sophistication of this particular labyrinth is what marks it as extraordinary. This was not a small, family-built weir. The amount of stone moved, the careful engineering of the channels to withstand constant wave action, and the strategic layout covering such a large area all point to something far greater, a coordinated communal project. It represents the sustained, organized effort of a large and settled population, likely from the medieval period, that relied on the estuary not just for occasional food, but as a central pillar of its economy and sustenance. Building and maintaining a system of this complexity required deep generational knowledge. The builders had to understand the specific flow patterns of their estuary, the behavior of local fish species, and the precise placement of stones to create effective channels without being destroyed by winter storms. This was sustainable resource management practiced centuries before the term was invented. The community was not depleting the fishery, it was cultivating it, creating a renewable food source that could support them for generations. This discovery shifts our perception of medieval coastal life away from a mere struggle for survival toward one of sophisticated environmental adaptation. It shows a society that was not separate from its ecosystem, but deeply integrated within it, reading the language of the tides and designing a landscape to secure their future. The silent stone labyrinth on the sonar screen is a testament to quiet, collective ingenuity, a reminder that some of the most profound historical lessons are not found in castles or chronicles, but in the practical, enduring ways people learn to live with the world around them. A river's width can be a lie told by time. Where modern maps show a broad, uninterrupted waterway, sonar recently told a different story, revealing a line of massive, regular obstructions marching across the riverbed like silent sentinels. These were not boulders, but the carefully placed stone pillars of a lost medieval bridge, a vital piece of infrastructure swallowed by centuries of shifting currents and changing landscapes. In the medieval world, a bridge was far more than a convenience, it was a profound statement. Its construction required immense resources, skilled labor, and centralized authority, making it a powerful symbol of economic ambition and political control. A lord or a town council that could finance and build a bridge was asserting its importance, creating a choke point for commerce and travel that could be taxed and defended. Finding its sunken remains, therefore, is like discovering a forgotten switch on an old circuit board, suddenly illuminating the connections that powered a region. The sonar data does more than just confirm the bridge existed, it maps its precise engineering. By measuring the distance between the pillars, historians can calculate the original span of the bridge, telling us how ambitious its builders were. The size and shaping of the stones themselves reveal the construction technique, whether it was a simple post and lintel design or something more advanced involving arches. This physical blueprint offers a direct lesson in the practical engineering knowledge of the era, showing what was possible with the tools, materials, and mathematical understanding of the time. Perhaps most compelling is the story of its end. The sonar scan shows the pillars standing in isolation, with no trace of the wooden deck or stone roadway that once connected them. This silent configuration poses a historical puzzle. Was the bridge deliberately destroyed during a period of conflict, severed to halt an advancing army or to assert control during a revolt? Or was it simply abandoned after a great flood altered the river's course, rendering the expensive crossing obsolete? Each scenario speaks to a moment of profound change, a shift in trade routes, political fortunes, or even the climate itself. By pinpointing this bridge's location, researchers can now trace the old road networks that once fed into it, reconstructing forgotten trade routes that connected highland producers to coastal markets or linked remote monasteries to bustling towns. This single line of stones on a sonar screen becomes a key that unlocks a lost map of human movement and connection, reminding us that the landscape beneath the water holds the bones of the world that was. The silent stone pillars of a lost bridge tell a story of connection, but what of the cargo that once crossed it? Far from any coastline, in the deep, cold darkness of an ancient shipping lane, sonar has sketched a different kind of pattern. The seabed here is not marked by structures, but by a vast, ghostly orchard of distinctive shapes. Scattered across the mud are hundreds of jar-like forms, each one a perfect, rounded silhouette with two handles. To any student of history, their identity is immediate. These are amphorae, the ubiquitous ceramic storage containers of the ancient and medieval worlds. This is not a random scattering, it is a concentrated field, a dense deposit that tells a clear and sudden story. It marks the final resting place of a merchant vessel, a wooden ship whose hull has long since vanished, leaving behind only this poignant cargo spill of its most durable possessions. The pattern of the scatter itself is a historical document. By analyzing how these containers are distributed, whether they lie in a tight cluster or a long, trailing path, marine archaeologists can reconstruct the ship's final moments. A tight grouping might suggest the vessel settled almost intact on the bottom, while a long, strewn field could indicate a violent breakup on the surface, with its cargo raining down over a wide area as it sank. This allows researchers to estimate the ship's size and the nature of its loss, turning a sonar image into a maritime incident report written in clay. Yet each of these silent jars is far more than just evidence of a shipwreck. It is a sealed vessel of cultural and economic history. Amphorae were the standardized shipping containers of their day, designed for stability in a ship's hold and for easy transport over land. Their shape, the clay from which they are made, and even the residue inside their walls are packed with information. Chemical analysis of microscopic traces can reveal whether a jar carried olive oil from a specific Mediterranean grove, wine from a distant vineyard, or precious garum, the fermented fish sauce beloved across the Roman and medieval world. This data maps trade routes with stunning precision, showing not just that goods moved, but exactly what kind of goods from where and in what volume. Finding such a concentrated deposit in a deep water lane shifts our understanding of medieval commerce. It proves that merchants were undertaking daring open water voyages, not just hugging the coast to move bulk goods across significant distances. This deep water field connects the dining tables of a northern European monastery, where oil and wine were staples of both diet and ritual, directly to the sunny slopes where those products were grown. It speaks of a networked economy, of supply and demand operating across seas, and of the incredible risk individuals took to connect cultures. Every intact amphora on that deep seafloor is a time capsule waiting to be opened, holding not just the ghost of its original contents, but the entire story of a journey that ended abruptly, preserving a snapshot of a connected medieval world in suspended animation. The silent amphorae scattered on the deep seafloor tell of goods in transit, but where did those journeys begin and end? Our next discovery provides the answer, not with a sunken ship, but with the sunken stage itself. Along a sheltered bay that today sees only gentle waves and leisure boats, Sonar has meticulously mapped the ghostly blueprints of a major port. The images reveal a complex network of human engineering, long straight lines of stone breakwaters reaching out like protective arms, wooden pilings marking the outlines of jetties and wharves, and deep, dredged basins that once served as docking areas. This is not a natural formation, it is the submerged skeleton of a high medieval harbor facility, a hub built for the constant rhythm of arrival, repair, and departure. These geometric harbor works represent a leap in our understanding of medieval maritime capability. Their construction speaks of immense resources and coordinated effort, likely funded by a powerful merchant guild or a wealthy local lord who understood the value of controlling trade. The design itself is a testament to sophisticated practical knowledge. The builders did not just pile rocks into the water, they engineered with purpose. The placement and angle of the breakwaters show an advanced understanding of local hydrology and wave action, designed to dissipate the energy of storms and create a calm, safe anchorage within. The jetties were positioned to maximize docking space and facilitate the efficient loading and unloading of cargo, from those ubiquitous amphorae to bulk goods like grain and wool. Deeper basins may have been specifically dredged for ship repair, allowing vessels to be careened on their sides to have their hulls cleaned, caulked, and maintained. This was a place built for the life cycle of a ship. Finding this complex transforms a quiet, scenic coastline into a historical crossroads. It proves that this bay was once a nexus of naval activity and technological innovation, a buzzing medieval equivalent of a major container port. Here, ships from distant shores would have exchanged not only goods but also news, ideas, and cultural influences. The harbor would have supported a whole ecosystem of professions, from carpenters and sailmakers to merchants, port officials, and laborers, all drawn to the economic engine of maritime trade. Its submersion, whether from gradual sea level rise or a sudden geological event like land subsidence, would have been an economic catastrophe for the region, severing vital links to wider networks and likely causing a shift in political power. This geometric anomaly does more than map lost stones and wood. It maps a lost economy. It challenges the assumption that medieval trade was a small-scale, haphazard affair. Instead, it reveals a world of deliberate infrastructure investment, of communities harnessing their geography and their ingenuity to build gateways to a wider world. The silent, ordered lines on the sonar screen are a powerful reminder that our coastlines are not static. They are palimpsests, with the bustling ports of the past lying just beneath the surface of the peaceful bays we see today. A coastal plain now lies silent under the sea, but its floor holds a distinct and telling signature. The sonar data here reveals a pattern of deliberate earthworks, a central, raised mound encircled by a series of concentric ditches. This is not a random collection of hills and gullies. The geometry is too precise, the symmetry too intentional. To the trained eye, this formation immediately echoes two powerful symbols from the medieval world above the waves. The first is the classic Motte and Bailey Castle, an early form of fortification where a lord would build his wooden keep upon an artificial mound, the motte, and surround it with a walled courtyard, the bailey, often protected by ditches. The second echo is older and more spiritual, the ritual burial mound or ceremonial earthwork, a raised space set apart for honoring ancestors or marking sacred ground. This single, submerged structure, therefore, sits at a fascinating crossroads of interpretation. Was it a practical stronghold, an early coastal fortification built by a local ruler to control a valuable stretch of shoreline or estuary? The strategic placement would make sense, offering a vantage point and a defensible position in a contested landscape. Alternatively, the concentric rings point toward a space of ceremony, a sacred hill created for community gatherings, seasonal rituals, or as a final resting place for individuals of high status. The water that now covers it holds the answer to its fate. Its submersion was likely a slow process, perhaps due to gradual land subsidence in the region or the relentless rise in sea levels that followed the end of the Little Ice Age, a period of cooling that once locked up more of the planet's water in ice. This environmental shift didn't just drown a structure, it preserved a profound ambiguity. This anomaly beautifully blurs the lines we often draw between different spheres of medieval life. In our modern view, we tend to separate the military from the residential and the spiritual into neat categories. But for the people of that time, these aspects of existence were deeply intertwined. A lord's castle was not just a garrison, it was his home, the center of his estate's economy, and often housed a chapel. A sacred mound could also be a place of assembly for legal matters or a symbol of a family's right to the land. This mound and ditch formation, in its silent simplicity, challenges us to see the medieval landscape as they did, a holistic world where power, community, and belief were built into the very earth. It invites us to consider that a site could be both a practical defense and a spiritual beacon, its meaning shifting with the seasons and the needs of the people who built it. The sea did not erase that complexity, it simply suspended it, offering us a rare chance to contemplate the interconnected nature of a world now lost beneath the tides. A long, unbroken ridge now lies beneath the waters of a forgotten valley. This is no natural seam in the earth, but a deliberate, linear earthwork, a defensive dike built by human hands in a now drowned landscape. Stretching for a considerable distance, its form is unmistakable on the sonar scan, a raised berm of earth and stone that once cut across the land, controlling access and defining a boundary. In the early medieval period, such structures were far more than simple piles of dirt. They were profound statements on the landscape, built to mark the limits of a kingdom's power, to channel trade along specific routes, or to provide a first line of defense against raids from rival groups. This submerged barrier offers a tangible record of a world in flux, a time when frontiers were fluid and communities invested immense collective labor into securing their place within them. The sonar data allows us to analyze its construction with remarkable clarity. We can see how the builders utilized the local topography, integrating the earthwork with natural features like high ground or marsh to enhance its effectiveness. The choice of materials, whether it was primarily packed earth, reinforced with timber, or faced with stone, speaks to the resources available and the level of threat it was designed to counter. Its strategic positioning is a direct lesson in the military thinking of the era, revealing what the community perceived as its most vulnerable approach and what it valued enough to physically wall off from the outside world. Yet the purpose of such a dike often extended beyond pure defense. It could also serve as a controlled checkpoint for commerce, a place where tolls were collected and the movement of people was monitored, turning a barrier into a source of revenue and control. Its presence fundamentally shaped the daily life and mental map of everyone who lived near it, defining the concepts of inside and outside, of safety and danger. Today, its submersion tells a second, deeper story of environmental change. The river valley it once guarded is now a silent seascape, suggesting that the very geography that made this location strategically vital was also its eventual undoing. Rising waters or shifting river courses may have slowly rendered the mighty dike obsolete, then invisible, as the landscape transformed around it. This linear anomaly is a powerful reminder that the threats our ancestors built against were not only human. They also shaped their world in a constant dialogue with nature, erecting barriers against both the raid from a neighboring hill and the slow, inevitable creep of the rising tide. In its silent, sunken state, it represents a double monument to the human will to define a territory and to the enduring power of the natural world to quietly redraw the map. Deep beneath the placid surface of a freshwater lake, sonar detected a different kind of treasure. The scan revealed not structures, but strange chemical ghosts and heaps of dark, slag-like materials scattered across the bottom. This was the signature of industry, the submerged remains of a medieval bloomery, a site dedicated to the transformative art of iron smelting. For a community centuries ago, this location was chosen with deliberate care. Iron smelting required three things: a source of ore, which historical records suggest was nearby, vast quantities of charcoal from managed forests, and crucially, water. The lake provided a ready supply for cooling newly forged metal and potentially for powering simple machinery like trip hammers through water wheels. Its presence here, now silent and drowned, turns the entire body of water into a historical archive of early technology. The piles of slag, the waste product left after extracting iron from the raw ore, are far from worthless to researchers. These discarded heaps are a time capsule of metallurgical process. By carefully analyzing their chemical composition, scientists can determine the temperature the medieval smiths were able to achieve in their furnaces, the specific type of ore they were using, and even the efficiency of their technique. Each variation in the slag tells a story of experimentation, of incremental improvements passed down from master to apprentice, of a community learning to harness one of nature's most fundamental elements. This underwater site offers a direct window into the medieval industrial base, the often overlooked foundation that supported daily life and societal expansion. The iron produced here did not just become swords for knights, though that was a vital application. It was hammered into the nails that held ships together, the plowshares that turned the earth for farming, the hinges for heavy doors, and the tools for countless crafts. Finding this bloomery confirms local historical production, moving it from the realm of written record into physical proof. It allows us to map a supply chain, understanding how raw materials from the earth were processed in one location and then traded or transported to blacksmiths in nearby towns. The lake, by preserving this site, has safeguarded a key piece of the puzzle, showing us that the medieval landscape was not only one of castles and churches, but also of workshops and forges, where the relentless, essential work of building a world from metal took place, its echoes now resting in the deep. The deepest mysteries are often the ones that refuse to fit into our familiar categories. In the profound, still darkness of a northern fjord, Sonar has mapped our final specific anomaly, a sprawling architectural puzzle resting on the steep underwater slope. This is no lone wall or simple foundation. The scan reveals a large, multi-roomed complex, a labyrinth of interconnected walls defining distinct compartments and corridors, all preserved in the cold, silent water. Its layout is immediately confounding. It does not match the broken, scattered pattern of a shipwreck, nor does it resemble the straightforward footprint of a typical homestead or fort. The complexity is deliberate, the design too elaborate for a single-purpose building, suggesting a site built for coordinated, specialized activity. Its very presence in such a deep, isolated location is the first clue to its enigmatic nature. Fjords, with their steep sides and protected waters, have always been natural harbors, but this structure is not on a sheltered shore. It is submerged along the fjord wall, placed in a world of perpetual twilight. This intentional positioning speaks to a need for both seclusion and direct access to the deep water itself. One compelling theory envisions it as a submerged trading post or a neutral meeting ground. In the fractious world of medieval maritime exchange, a secure, difficult-to-access location away from main settlements could have served as a discreet hub for barter between different groups, a place where goods like furs, walrus ivory, or amber changed hands without attracting unwanted attention. The compartmentalized rooms would be perfect for secure storage and negotiation. Another, equally plausible idea points to a specialized processing station dedicated entirely to the sea's bounty. The deep, cold fjord waters are rich in certain marine resources. This complex could have been a seasonal base for harvesting and processing something like whale blubber into oil, with different chambers for flensing, rendering, and storing the final product in casks. The architecture would then reflect a kind of early industrial workflow, each room serving a specific step in a valuable, messy, and odoriferous trade. What makes this anomaly so uniquely valuable to archaeologists is its pristine context. Isolated by depth and cold, it has likely remained untouched for centuries, free from the looting or disturbance that plagues so many terrestrial sites. Every artifact, from a dropped tool to a discarded container, would lie exactly where it was left, preserving the frozen moment of the last day of work. This offers an unparalleled opportunity to understand not just what was done here, but precisely how it was done, the organization of labor, the tools of the trade, and the daily rhythms of a community whose livelihood was drawn from the deep. This unidentified complex stands as the ultimate symbol of the sonar's revelatory power and its inherent challenge. It represents a complete, intact story waiting to be read, yet we have lost the first page, the one that tells us its name and primary purpose. It forces a humbling and exciting realization. For every sunken longship or drowned village we can identify, there are structures whose functions are completely lost to us, silent monuments to aspects of medieval life we have not yet even thought to imagine. They challenge us to expand our understanding of what maritime activity truly encompassed, pushing beyond trade and transport into the realms of specialized industry, clandestine exchange, and profound adaptation to the marine environment. The complex in the deep fjord does not provide answers, it insists on better questions. From mysterious disks to sunken cities, these 15 sonar-detected anomalies collectively paint a revolutionary picture of our past. They reveal a medieval world far more connected, dynamic, and intimately tied to the water than we once imagined. Each finding, from the humble stone labyrinth of a fish trap to the solemn foundations of a lost monastery, is a vital piece of a grand historical puzzle. Together, they show us a tapestry where human resilience, ingenuity, and spirituality were not separate from the aquatic realm, but deeply woven into it. The sea and the rivers were not just barriers or empty spaces on a map. They were highways, pantries, sacred spaces, and defensive moats. They were the very stage upon which countless stories of ambition, faith, and community were played out. This new vision, sketched in sound waves, challenges the old landlocked narrative of history, pulling us toward the shorelines and reminding us that a significant chapter of the human story is written not on parchment, but on the submerged landscape. As sonar technology continues to advance, becoming ever more precise and accessible, we stand on the brink of countless more revelations. We can only anticipate discoveries that will further blur the lines between legend and history, turning whispered folklore into verified coordinates on a chart. Each new ping from the depths is an invitation to reconsider what we know, to fill in the blank spaces on our maps with the echoes of lost worlds. Reflect on these hidden chapters, these silent cities and purposeful stones resting in the dark. Consider what other secrets the deep may hold, waiting for the right beam of sound to illuminate their contours and ask us new questions about who we were and how we lived. If you found this journey into the sunken past fascinating, subscribe for more deep dives into history's greatest mysteries. We would love to hear your thoughts, so share in the comments below which of these 15 underwater anomalies intrigued you the most.